very physical feeling. You'll feel it like more low in your belly. You'll feel it in your gut. And often it is like a physical experience or a sensation that really comes up from down here, where the mind is definitely a sort of a
You're
thought.
thinking,
Has a thought quality to it. And oftentimes the intuitions are persistent. You know, you really should go to that party. And you get a feeling with it, like a nudge, like a, you know, like a gut knowing. We say that, we always say we have, I knew in my gut, or I knew in my heart.
Yes.
But my mind told me something else.
Yeah.
And that is, our soul never speaks to us through our mind. The mind just gets in the way.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why so many spiritual practices involve trying to get the mind out of the way, like meditation.
Right, and yoga, where it quiets
yes.
your mind down so you can...
Right, so the mind really needs to sort of, I think like we give the yoga meditation is like giving the mind a Rubik's Cube and telling it to go sit in the corner so it can just, you know, fuss over something. Or we have like incredible intuitive experiences when we're doing things like washing the dishes or walking the dog or mowing the lawn or something where the mind is occupied with something, and then you get, that's where you will have a great insight.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, because the mind needs to be out of the way. So any of those things, yoga, meditation, walking.
So if there was a tip actually for how to help people listen to their intuition, a very simple one is doing something that keeps your mind out of it.
Sure,
right?
And I'm sure everyone has had that experience where you've been puzzling over a problem, you've been trying to solve it, you put it down, and you go take a shower, or you wash your kitchen floor or something, and boom, the answer comes in that moment. And that's, you know, I think really listening, we just learn not to listen. And if we trusted ourselves and listened to those promptings, it becomes easier to navigate those difficult times in our lives.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
So are there, do you have a story that you want to share about someone that you've worked with?
Yeah. I worked with this lovely woman who was really working with believing, because that's another hard thing for people is how can we believe, how can we trust that this is real? And she started feeling like she was getting her guidance. She felt like she had angels around her, and she wanted really concrete proof that this was for real, which is a perfectly legitimate thing to ask for. So she decided that she had this thing about pennies, and she wanted her guides to show her with pennies, and she just had this big conversation with her guides in the car. She was like, I don't believe this, show me it's real. And she got to where she was going, she opened up the door, and there were 10 pennies in a row, perfect row on the sidewalk. Right in front of her, she opened her door, and there they were lined up. Yeah, and ever since then, whenever she has, you know, her guides really want to talk to her, there's a penny.
No kidding.
Yep.
And I want pennies.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? So you can ask your guides to give you, you know, like I have another client whose guides play her songs on the radio.
Really?
You know, like a song comes, like she'll be pondering something, driving the car, and the answer comes
through the song,
or through her iPod when she shuffles it. The answer will be in the song.
That is so great.
Yeah, and I have another one too that it's feathers. You know, so she sees feathers, she finds feathers. She was out walking her dog and really contemplating something a difficult choice in her life, and she said literally, you know, a bird flew overhead and literally a feather fell, like, you know, right in front of her, and that was her answer. So I think that's a very useful tool for people that are wanting confirmation.
So anyone can request pennies, feather. How do you do that?
You just talk to your guides, and you can do it in a meditation.
And what if you have no skill, you don't meditate?
Can you pray?
Maybe.
Okay. I really
do you have to believe in God in order to pray? Okay.
I think, well, the universe, or, you know, whatever, you know, whatever you're sending your prayer out to, even if it's your own self or you know, wherever you think that's going. But really a prayer, that's what a prayer is, right? A prayer is asking something that's larger than ourselves to come and intercede on our behalf. So if meditation is too hard, think about a prayer. Okay. You know, and
how would that
And you would just say, you know,
look like?
Who's ever out there watching over me, I need some confirmation that I'm going in the right direction. I'm making a decision. I need some guidance, and then be very specific about what it is you would like to do. One of my other students did this sort of on a whim and said, I want to see a giraffe sometime in the next 24 hours. She's picking something that she didn't
see every day.
To see every day, and then
to prove it.
child came home with a little friend from school, and the friend from school had a giraffe on his t-shirt. You know, and it was like 15 minutes later. It was very quick giraffe showing up.
So if you want an answer, so you say it to yourself or you say it out loud, and you ask what it is that you want help with.
Yeah.
And then you can ask for a sign.
Yeah.
And the way so a giraffe or a penny or whatever. Yeah. And be specific about when you want to see it by.
Yes, when you want to see it by, and what particularly you're asking for.
Great. Okay. Yeah. This works, right?
Yeah, it works. We try it. Parking spaces are good too.
I do that with parking spaces. Every time I have a hard time parking, I say, I need some help finding a parking space, and then there one is.
I was running late the other day and needed to get there, and I said, give me all the green lights.
Ooh.
And they did.
So there's lots of uses for this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that just sounds so simple.
It is
for
simple.
People.
It's really simple. We have it in our minds that it's this big thing that only special people can do.
Which is what you're saying. This is for everyday people.
Everyday people. You don't have to be. I mean, not that everyone's special.
Yes.
You know, but you don't have to have. You know, I think really psychic ability is a lot like athletic ability. Everyone has
it to some degree.
Yes,
right.
And even the athletes, even Olympic level athletes, need to train. They go out every day and they train and they work.
That's right.
So if you train it and you work it, you can improve whatever you've got.
Of course.
By paying attention to it, by working it, you can get there. Some people have a tremendous amount of psychic ability. Other people,
not so much.
Not so much. They have sort of an ordinary. But even the ordinary people can totally use all this. And chances are you already do.
And so I think what you're saying is that people have all different abilities and can access this.
Yeah.
So in the few minutes we have left, what I want to do is point people to your website again, which is www.lisacampion.com. Okay. And so you just got a chance to hear Lisa speak and her story. And here's what I learned from listening to her. It's that we're all a little psychic in some way, and that each of us can unravel what it is for us. I wonder what gifts I might have that I have discovered when I was a child. I wonder what gifts you might have discovered when you were a child that you can now revive as an adult that brought you great joy. Think about your life as a child. Lisa found her gift when she was a child. Many of us did things when we were kids that we just loved to do that we don't do anymore, that might be part of our path. So think about, what did you love to do that you don't do now? Can you activate that something as a hobby? Or maybe it's a new job or an occupation. And now we know we can ask for help from our inner intuition and guidance to help us figure out what that is, whether it's asking for a penny or a giraffe on a t-shirt. I believe it's never too late to figure out what's next for you and to figure out either personally or professionally what the next thing is for you. So right now, I want you to sit back right here and think about and imagine, if you had the courage, what could you do next in your life? And maybe you can get a clue from your childhood. And if you're not sure, here's an idea to get you to the next step in your journey. Put yourself in a quiet place with something to write with and finish this sentence. As a child, I loved to fill in the blank. And just make as long a list as you possibly can of all the things you can think of. And when you're done, I guarantee you'll see at least one thing on that list. It's something that you ought to be putting back into your life in a more prominent way. It might even give you a clue as to what kind of next job you should have. And if you like what you saw and heard today on our show, and you want to know more about what's next for you, you can go to www.themagicparties.com for some free support and inspiration. And for those women out there, maybe our upcoming Women's Escape on October 23rd in Tingsboro would be just the right thing for you. And to learn more about Lisa and to learn about how you can raise your own intuition and your psychic ability and get some training, again, you can find her at www.lisacampion.com. If you have any questions about our show, email us at info@themagicparties.com. And I'd like to thank Lisa for coming today on our show, and thanks to our producers and camera people for all their work, and thanks to you, our listeners. You are meant to go forth into the world and use your gifts and talents, and have a little fun exploring what's next for you. And I look forward to seeing you next time on our show. discover the magic of you. Thanks so much for